Hello guys, welcome to 6-7, your daily political update. This is me, Sanjay Bhargav. Let's start today's news. In Bengal, nearly 1 crore voters have been struck off the rolls, raising the biggest question, that is this cleansing of fake entries or mass disenfranchisement? The specific intensive revision controversy in Bengal refers to the special intensive revision of the electoral rules before the 2026 assembly elections, where nearly 91 lakh voters, 11.67% of the electorate, were deleted, sparking allegations of mass disenfranchisement and political bias. Opposition parties call it a deliberate purge of minority and poor votes, while the Election Commission insists it is a legal correction process. Let me explain you the what is the specific intensive revision. Specific intensive revision is a process by the Election Commission to update voter rolls by removing duplicates, deceased persons, or those with invalid documents. And the frequency of this specific intensive revision is not capped. It can be ordered whenever Election Commission finds irregularities. Normally, annual revisions are routine, but specific intensive revision is an extraordinary exercise. Appeals. Deleted voters can appeal before designated tribunals to restore their names. Millions of cases are under the adjudication in Bengal. Total deletions, approximately 91 lakh voters removed, that is 11.67% of the 7.6 crore electorate in the West Bengal. And the appeals allowed, several lakhs filed appeals. Exact adjudication numbers are pending, but tribunals are overwhelmed. And the impact is border districts like Muslim majority areas saw disproportionate deletions, raising fears of targeted disenfranchisement. Let me explain you the constitutional legal framework governing this issue. Right to vote is not a fundamental right but a constitutional right under Article 326. Elections to the Lok Sabha and Assembly based on the adult suffrage. Supreme Court in People's Union for Civil Liberties versus Union of India 2003 clarified that voting is a constitutional right, though subject to statutory regulation and election commission powers. Under the Representation of Peoples Act 1950, Election Commission can delete names for death, duplication, change of residence, invalid documents, and fraudulent entries like fake citizenship claims. Voter ID is not equal to citizenship proof. It is only proof of electoral registration. Citizenship Amendment Act applies to migrants from specific countries such as Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Pakistan before December 2014. Those without documents since 1970 cannot claim citizenship merely via voter ID. Election Commission deletion of fake entries is meant to prevent infiltrators from using voter rolls as de facto citizenship proof. The criticism against this specific intensive revision issue is opposition parties like Trinamool Congress, Left Congress alleged that the targeted disenfranchisement of minorities, poor and women. It called it a digital opacity and hollowing out democracy. And the ruling BJP defends specific intensive revision as necessary to remove illegal infiltrators and ensure electoral purity. It argued that fake voters distort democracy. Suggestions from my side to uphold the right to vote, which is a constitutional right according to the Constitution of India, Article 326. First one, transparent deletion process. Publish clear reasons for each deletion: death, duplication, migration, invalid documents. Notify affected voters in advance through SMS, post, or local officials. Second, accessible appeals. Set up fast-track tribunals in every district. Allow digital appeals via mobile apps or online portals. Provide free legal aid for the poor and marginalized voters. Third, independent oversight. Create a joint monitoring committee with Election Commission officials, civil society, and retired judges. Ensure political parties receive regular reports on deletions and restorations. Fourth, periodic review. Mandate that every deletion is reviewed within 30 days if challenged. Annual audits by the Comptroller and Auditor General of India or Lokpal. Fifth, protection for vulnerable groups. Special safeguards for women, minorities, migrant laborers, and the elderly. Use Aadhaar or other government databases to cross-check before deletion. And think of a specific intensive revision like pruning a tree, necessary to remove dead branches, but if you cut too deep, you risk killing the tree itself. Let's go to the next news. In Haryana, farmers are blocking highways not for higher minimum support price but for the right to sell their crops under old rules. Farmers in Haryana are protesting against the BJP-led state government's new procurement rules for wheat and mustard, claiming they're making it harder to sell crops at the minimum support price. Procurement is a joint responsibility. That is, the center fixes MSP and funds most of it, while the state manages mandis and logistics. Farmers argue that new rules shift burdens onto them while the government says it ensures transparency. Who procures the farmer's produce? Central's role sets MSP for crops, provides funds for procurement through agencies like Food Corporation of India. State's role, that is the Haryana government, organizes the procurement in mandis, manages logistics, storage and payments, implements rules for registration, verification and delivery. Share of the price. Farmers receive full minimum support price. Center bears most of the cost, especially for wheat and rice. States contributes administrative or logistical expenses. New procurement rules in Haryana. Mandatory online registration of farmers. Strict document verification, that is land records, Aadhaar. Time-bound delivery slots in mandis. Additional conditions for quality testing of wheat and mustard. Farmers say these rules delay payments and exclude some small and marginal farmers. Let's get into the next news. In Meghalaya, Garo Hills, democracy is facing a tribal test. Should only tribals vote in tribal councils? In Meghalaya, powerful tribal groups are demanding tribal-only electoral rolls for the Garo Hills Autonomous District Council, excluding non-tribals like Bengali-speaking Muslims. The issue has already led to violence and postponement of council elections, raising questions about indigenous rights versus democratic inclusion. Let me explain you what actually happening in Meghalaya. Pressure groups in Garo Hills such as ADE, AHAM, AYWO, FAF, FKJGP, GSU petitioned the Garo Hills Autonomous District Council Chief Executive Member to amend the laws and prepare tribal-only voters list. Reasons: they argue that non-tribals are outsiders who should not influence the tribal self-governance. And the trigger is elections scheduled for April 10, 2026 were postponed after violence over the nominations filled by the non-tribal candidates, mostly Bengali-speaking Muslims. Two were killed in March. Let me explain you the constitutional and legal framework governing this issue. Sixth schedule of the Constitution explicitly grants special autonomy to tribal councils in Meghalaya, Mizoram, Tripura and Assam. Electoral rules currently include all residents, tribal and non-tribal. And the demand is that amend the laws so that only tribals can vote in Garo Hills administrative district councils elections. Criticism of this demand is by excluding non-tribals may violate Article 14 right to equality and Article 326 universal adult franchising. And the political positions of the respective groups in the Meghalaya, tribal groups say non-tribals dilute indigenous rights and threaten land and culture, and opposition parties warn that tribal-only roles undermine the democracy and could spark a communal conflict. BJP, an ally in Meghalaya government, supports voter roll revision to weed out illegal Bangladeshi migrants. Civil society calls for a special intensive revision to exclude infiltrators and amend the scheduled tribes order to protect indigenous rights. And here are the steps to go ahead with achieving middle path by balancing both tribal autonomy and non-tribal representation. First, dual electoral roles. Maintain a tribal-only role for electing tribal representatives in Garo Hills administrative district councils. Keep a general role for broader democratic participation. This balances autonomy with inclusion. And the 2. Reserved seat. Guarantee majority seats for tribals, allow limited representation for non-tribals, ensuring they have a voice but not dominance. Third, verification mechanism. Use land records, domicile certificates, and Aadhaar to distinguish genuine residents from infiltrators. Protect the tribals while avoiding blanket exclusion. Fourth, independent oversight. Set up a neutral commission, retired civil judges, civil society members to supervise the role revisions, prevent political misuse. It's like a housing society. Members want only residents to vote, but what if tenants who live there are denied a say? Let's come to the next news. In the Rajasthan High Court has ruled that Khap Panchayats are unconstitutional, echoing the Maharashtra's landmark law against social boycotts. Let's understand the key differences between the Rajasthan High Court ruling and the Maharashtra's Protection of People from Social Boycott Act 2016. First, let's understand the Rajasthan High Court ruling. Khap Panchayats, informal caste councils in North India, often issuing diktats on marriage, social conduct, and community disputes. And the court's stand is that it declared the diktats unconstitutional because they undermine the rule of law and violate fundamental rights such as Article 14, Article 19, and Article 21. And it reinforces that only courts and lawful authorities can decide disputes, not extra constitutional bodies. Now let's understand the Maharashtra Protection of People from Social Boycott Act. Let's understand the Maharashtra Protection of People from Social Boycott Act 2026. And the key features of the act are: it criminalizes social boycotts imposed by the caste panchayats or community groups, covers boycotts related to marriage, rituals, profession, or lifestyle, and it punishments are up to 3 years imprisonment and fine. It declares such boycotts as a violation of human dignity and liberty. And the lacuna present in this act are weak implementation, that is, it led to few convictions, relies heavily on victims filing complaints, which they never do and which may fear to do. No strong rehabilitation or protection mechanisms for victims. Let's know about the other states with similar laws. Maharashtra 2016, first state with a comprehensive anti-boycott law. Rajasthan court ruling but no standalone law yet. Other states, Haryana and Uttar Pradesh have debated against Khap Dikkats but no dedicated legislation. And the status is that this subject falls under the state list law and order social justice, so states can frame their own laws. And why this matters to this democracy? Khap Dikkats often target intercaste or interfaith marriages, women's rights and personal freedoms, and they violate by clashing with the constitutional guarantees of equality and liberty. And to protect individuals from extra legal punishments and ensure democracy works at the grassroots. And suggestions from my side to improve these laws: national framework law. Parliament could pass a uniform anti-boycott law applicable across India like the UCC. It would prevent uneven protection between states, victim protection and rehabilitation, legal aid, safe shelters and financial support for victims of Khap Dikkats or boycotts, witness protection to encourage complaints, fast-track courts, special courts to handle boycott and Khap Dikkats cases within 6 months, and constitutional modernization in the next amendment explicitly declare freedom from social boycott and parallel justice system as a constitutional right under Article 21. Strengthen Article 15, that is non-discrimination, to include protection against caste or community disputes. Clarify that right to marry and choose lifestyle is part of the fundamental rights. Community engagement. Awareness campaigns to educate rural communities about the constitutional rights. Encourage mediation through lawful village communities, not cops. Think of Khap Dikkats like parallel traffic signals. If everyone follows their own chaos rules, the constitution is the only traffic light we must obey. And leaving you on that note, thank you for watching.